I had wondered if the sort of meme coins are going to be kind of like the, outside of BTC narrative of this cycle, but it really seems like it's going to be these treasury companies. Obviously we've seen just so far this year, Nakamoto, 21, the Trump entity with they're now $3 billion that they raised to buy Bitcoin.
MicroStrategy.
Yeah,
Metaplanet.
So Metaplanet, MicroStrategy. But now, I mean, in talking with bankers there, because it's really the one thing that, as a miner, a lot of the time you spend there is talking with bankers, talking with equity researchers, talking with investors. And it's actually, this conference seems to be the most like professional from that standpoint yet. And I think Bitcoin Magazine had all these like rooms to make it very easy for you to go have some of these side meetings. But it feels like all of that TradFi attention is there. A lot of these guys they're all here now. They know that this is where they can come see a bunch of their clients and a bunch of potential partners. But it sounds like we're really only starting to see the beginning of some of these treasury strategies. And I think, interestingly, the treasury strategies are also going for the long tail of shitcoins too. Like we have the Sol strategy, one that people have heard about. There's the Ethereum one now. But I think we're just seeing the beginning of this. Like every sort of altcoin that you've heard of, there's going to be a micro strategy for that too. And there's a ton of talking with bankers there. Tons of them are gobbling up these little shells. So that are public companies on Nasdaq with $5 to $20 million market caps, and so we're going to see a lot of RTOs there. And so I think with miners, I mean, again, it comes down to something I've been saying for a long time, but it is forcing miners to really become more disciplined capital allocators and like have good businesses, as opposed to it was just sort of use the money printer machine and the ATM to buy new money printer machines in terms of ASICs. But I think that really is like one of the overall narratives I think from this conference in particular is like really the integration or the fusion of TradFi and crypto, where basically people are going to be raising money or pledging crypto to these pubcos just to kind of get a ticker for their shitcoin.
Yep. It looked like the Book of Mormon. I'd say it looked like the Book of Mormon, when there's a bunch of people walking around with their orange tie and their white shirt, and they were walking around this is the Sailor MicroStrategy book, and how do I bring this to your publicly traded company in Lithuania, right? So, for the first time ever, Bitcoin had a uniform in a very long time, and they were all wearing their orange ties, and I love those are some of my closest friends, but man, that it's not a cult, but that was a tough
no,
look.
it is. It's becoming more of a cult.
Yes,
it's a cult you can cash out on. That's it.
Yeah. Now
I'm just waiting for the fucking tax benefits.
And speaking of one such missionary who's been in the game even longer than Michael Saylor, talking about Pierre Richardson, Bitcoin Bond Company. Pierre certainly
he looked great.
He was mountain man for a while, but now he's a bond man. But I think in general though, it's like he's long been saying this, that every company should have Bitcoin on balance sheet. But I mean, really, it's going to be interesting to see. It sounds like there a lot of talk even among the bankers is sort of if there is some unwind, or like if this trade sort of falls apart. Potentially it's gonna cause quite the spike and crash afterwards. So again, stay humble, stack sats. Be prudent here. Don't overextend yourself. But it's interesting to see a lot of this. And one of the other interesting things too is that you kind of are seeing companies announce that it's like, hey, we're raising $3 billion say to buy Bitcoin. The question is, okay, so when does this actually close, and when does the buying Bitcoin actually start? Yeah. And it's interesting that because of public market disclosure rules, folks are having to telegraph. It's like, hey guys, I'm gonna smash buy in 3 months time, and you'll be, I don't know. The market dynamics have never been more interesting.
So we're not seeing a ton of net new buying yet from these treasuries. I know that's probably on the roadmap.
Well, has Nakamoto bought any of its Bitcoin yet?
I don't know if that's the case.
I don't think they have.
I think there's pledges to transfer in Bitcoin in kind.
Well, but from what I've heard, this might be actually a small amount. And from what I've heard, the private placement, the vast majority of it's cash, and there might potentially be a way for them to convert some of those proceeds before the close. But this would be sort of an unprecedented in sort of traditional capital markets transactions. So it would be like a first if they were able to find a way to kind of buy the Bitcoin before it actually closes.
Yeah, and they're subject to a lot of approvals that are still in the pipeline. I believe both 21 and Nakamoto still have to go through a couple of regulatory checkpoints. Okay. And it's interesting stuff, but in general, corporate treasuries, and I think, Drew, you alluded to this, you can kind of see it when you factor in MNAV and the volatility in Bitcoin. If the, total market capitalization drops below a certain level and they're trading at a discount rather than a premium to the Bitcoin treasury on the balance sheet, they're going to have to effectively dump Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If that happens in concert, and a lot of them have to do it at the same time, don't forget if the Bitcoin price is going down, ETFs are selling as well.
Yep.
So a lot of people are starting to size up. This could be the next big liquidation cascade.
Yep.
And bubble burst. Did you see that sentiment or that, I guess, anxiety reflected at the conference, or are we still in the woohoo phase? Woohoo.
But a number of people mentioned it on the desk. People brought it up. Both people involved. Matt Cole from Strive said it on the desk. Like, not every one of these companies is going to survive. I mean,
it's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's so obvious that, but yeah.
Very much so. And look, these are also public companies. This gets telegraphed, right?
Yeah.
So, if you're a NYDIG or a Galaxy, you're sitting in a pretty good position to clean up.
Yep. And I think that scares, I think that maybe that's what scares a lot of people. But this year's Bitcoin conference, clearly the PubCo Treasury strategy was front and center. Yeah. And that was the theme for this year, right? Yeah. Every year, the theme kind of gets felt afterwards. 21, there was no theme other than let's do this. And then it became El Salvador, right? So, but I would say, without a doubt, from start to finish, was the PubCo strategy for this year. I mean, even seeing, Mahler's kind of who always gives the almost one of the primary kick-ass keynotes, having to go up there and talk about it. What's actually the relationship between Strike and 21? What's actually gonna happen with that is kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cantor Fitzgerald's in there, Tether's in there. They're really interesting dynamics that are going to play out. I think, turbo speed. I mean, these
Pakistan, by the way, I'm pointing out that Pakistan made an announcement to start Treasury.
Yeah.
Strategic Reserve.
Yeah, the mayor of Panama there talking about the Panama Canal, people getting priority sort of access to to get through the Panama Canal if they pay in Bitcoin versus fiat, which is pretty awesome.
Well, I'm not sure that's going to last for that much longer. Isn't Panama coming back home?
Is it? Are you referring to the American?
No. We just get an easy pass. Rubio negotiates an easy pass for our ships. We're not
I thought that was already back. No,
we just get an easy pass. Rubio took care of it.
That's that.
We're 5 months in. This is going so slow.